You were here in spirit.
What do you do for levy?
I see you put a sign up
So you go around watering to see how deep?
for the lots.
You got a little
That you
mobile
said.
ring?
Not
We
me.
do, yeah, it's almost like a tank.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Right.
Pretty big.
Is it on a trailer?
I don't, we,
No, but actually.
truck, we get a truck to come out and pick it up too.
So low boy.
That's good.
Yeah,
Get some of your money back.
that's right.
So the Holloway guy had one on the back of a truck.
They used to do that, and then, that was many, many years ago, but now they like it to be separate from what we're doing.
Yeah, and amphibious, like a tank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's hard for you to come over to a side job. Where are you drilling that now?
Yeah.
we were
Although you make a good point, maybe it is.
in Otter Lake right now.
It's
I
way
don't know.
different.
I should know. It's in it.
Contract by someone, but
Didn't the village give you approval?
doing work in Otter Lake.
We're at
Where Larry Mullins?
Uh,
Up there off the end of there by the peninsula? Sherman Street.
I think it's close by there.
You weren't.
What Larry buy there? He bought.
It's off of Otter Lake Road.
That's my territory up there too, Marathon Township.
If here's the rule,
And we were.
and you're in,
Gaylord?
Just.
It's all same there.
Oh, yeah, it was actually really nice.
So how deep do you go?
About 60 feet. It really depends on what they plan it out before we go out there, and I like to see certain areas go a little bit deeper than others if it's more hilly of the terrain. Gaylord,
why don't you say it?
Big Hill is where we were at, so we, on top of it, we go 80.
Maybe about 150, 140 feet.
Yeah.
That's gotta be all sand.
Over there, yeah. Otter Lake, it's more like silt. It's like, like a little bit of top, but
Punishes.
I'm digging this little spot over by Barnes Lake right now, maybe about 14, 12 foot deep.
okay.
And when I pull up,
They won't give
tomorrow.
them the same thing they gave
and then after it sits and the rain moves
Amazon.
it, there's all kinds of little shells.
Condos.
Yeah, we,
What are they?
They got
in Otter Lake, that's actually what
a
we're
break,
working
but we
on
didn't.
now.
Then they're jabbing
We
us.
just dig a little bit, we
And
find
then-
shells.
He didn't know he had a landlord
Well, you know what
license.
they used to be, when the oceans were there, those little shells for the ocean.
And that's a hassle in itself.
Okay.
You know, they look like,
All meeting in order, stand to the flag, please.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a roll call, please.
Roll call, Dan Miller,
Here.
Tom Wise,
Here.
Dan Derderian, present, Phil Bellinger,
Here.
Nick Holden,
Here.
Lance Gould, George Nash.
Okay, now, approval of the agenda, I think we're gonna, Ann, you're gonna make a couple of corrections
Yes,
for that?
yeah, I will.
Because
I make a motion to approve the agenda with the corrections of, under hearings, you can keep the none, but cross that A, move that to new business, and strike C, and move C to, move B to C. So it's A and B.
say it again, A what?
Okay, strike A
Yep,
from the hearings,
go on.
move that to new business,
Okay,
strike B
yeah.
to put where C is,
Right.
A and B.
Yep, so there's no C anymore.
There's no C, strike C.
A now becomes a slow moving cover.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
as presented for March 12th, 2025. Michigan State.
How about the Michigan sand and gravel? We gotta strike that out of the agenda.
Oh, yeah. And also strike Michigan sand and gravel out and, replace it with Ribble Road pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgot.
Well, stuff gets in there when we make it. Okay,
Yeah. Got a second someplace?
yeah, I say motion to approve. I'll second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, get that ironed out, so you can raise the cane with everybody else. Okay, approval of the minutes for February 12th, 2025.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll
February
second.
12th, 2025.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public comments. Items not scheduled on this agenda tonight. No one's, Bill, you want to give a little speech?
I need more than 3 minutes, I'm sorry.
Very good. Let's go right on to no hearing. New business. Soil removal, perennial renewal for Lapeer County Road Commission, River Road pit. Okay, Mr. Carter, can you enlighten us a little bit?
Sure can.
Any more?
So much like the last meeting, there's two remaining gravel pits on the agenda. First one is the Ribble Road pit that the Road Commission owns and operates. There was a little snafu with them getting their paperwork in. So we had to work on them to kind of get things pieced together and get it in front of you guys here. That's usually they're one of the first ones, but this year there was some issues on their end. The report that you have there has been updated for this application, 25-26 time period. There's kind of history, as with all the ones, it starts out with the history. We did do a site visit on August 13th. They did supply what we're calling a current conditions plan. It isn't per se a site plan, so it doesn't have to be adopted. But what they do is they have a company come in and, I'm assuming with a drone, and they come in and fly the area to get new contours so they know how much material was removed and how much is left and so on. So that's included in the packet. The rest of the official drawings have not changed. The official removal drawings have not changed. The restoration drawings, the plan has not changed. Just like I said, just the very first one labeled base topography survey. So they have actually flattened some of the slopes, particularly in the west end. They flattened that down, and they're gonna work to the southeast, southwest corner, and that would have been more the northwest corner where they had been working. So they're planning on pulling some material out this summer, stockpile, get it crushed and stockpiled. So they bring a company in, they make some gravel up, and then they have a big pile, and they work out that pile until it's gone, and they start over. So usually that's about a 2-year cycle. It just depends. As you might remember, they went a lot of years and didn't do anything. Everything's pretty consistent with what had, with prior years. In my checklist that I submitted, I hadn't yet received the insurance policy, but it has since been submitted. So that has been taken care of. I believe it is in your packet.
Yep.
It is.
So we did get that in time to get it out to you, but I didn't change my checklist. Other than that, like I said, it's pretty run-of-the-mill. They've got slopes that are mining slopes, but they need to be flattened to meet your ordinance, or at least to be, in a restored
situation, so we're always keeping an eye on that to make sure they're working towards that, and they are, just to a degree. Fencing and signage, we always talk about that, it's kind of a standard in my reviews, because like I said, I could walk away and a tree could fall and fences
Right.
needs repairing, so. They do have fencing, where it's open and obvious and you can see. There are areas that I'm not sure I can even get to on foot, so I don't know what's there or what's not there. And that's, like I said, that hasn't changed.
Terrain.
So as with before, particularly since we're already into March, we really ought to make any sort of action
Yes.
effective January 1st. Retroactive.
Effective January.
Trying to keep them in line.
So, I think we have maybe a plan for next time around to, well, there's a couple of things I want to, we're discussing maybe breaking the cycle. Right now, these biennials are on an election cycle, and that creates a lot of work, for the clerk. And so, the clerk might look to try to break the cycle somehow. And we broke the cycle a long time ago when I first took over, because I needed more time to take over for Mr. Fackler. And so, if you remember, everybody got a free year. They had to request an extension for a year, and and everybody did, and everybody got it. So that pushed us a year off the cycle, so I think we're gonna be looking to get back on that cycle.
So what's your recommendation, to move it up or?
We haven't figured that out yet. Whether we cheat them a year or give them an extra year, don't know.
Gotcha. I'll let them figure, I know she mentioned that before.
Yeah, I think that's probably, either a board decision or maybe
I was gonna ask, it's probably.
probably a board decision or something.
Yeah.
Have you mentioned it today?
I think she has. I personally have not discussed it with Dave, but I think she has.
Okay.
So, and this all came up right at elections, and she was obviously overwhelmed this year,
Sure.
particularly, and she's like, can't we do something different? I'm like, well, we can, and, but it was kind of late in the game to try to do
Change it.
something this year, so, but that is directly why we're a little behind this year. We didn't get a very early start, and the two that we're working on tonight, had reasons outside the normal why they didn't get their stuff
Right.
around for the meeting.
Looking for a motion, George?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to recommend to the Township Board approval of the 2025-2026 biannual soil removal permit application for the Ribble Road pit, owned and operated by the Lapeer County Road Commission, with the recommendations of the following. That the fencing and signage shall continue to be installed and maintained per section 307.0. Point one, of the soil removal ordinance, which requires fencing around the site as well as signage every 200 feet maximum. Due to the rough terrain adjacent to the site, fencing may not be practical or necessary in some areas, but requiring signage should be installed and maintained. 2, that the method and location of mining be as such to reduce the steepness, which he mentioned, of the slopes of the excavated banks, and to work toward the approved reclamation plan. Restoration of the site, graded topsoil and turf, should also be more of a priority as work continues, as well as maintaining the fence and signage. That the approval shall be, have the effective date of January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2026. And that you should make it retroactive to January 1st, 2025.
Anything else you need to put in there for you? You're good. No, pretty well covered. Okay. Motion made. Who seconded?
I'll say.
Okay, so roll call
So, John R., to refresh memories of those that have been on the board, as listed on the first page, has had quite a history. There is a consent judgment from 1999 that I have to keep going back to and take a look at it and making sure that we're still haven't met or exceeded those requirements. Also, at one time, this particular PIF was through a separate lawsuit that didn't involve the township, was split. There was a different operator in there. Wiegand, I believe, was the operator at one time. So it's always an interesting place to go and look, and it's got some pretty tall banks. So this year, I went and contacted the owner, went to do a site visit, and we discussed that he had Kennedy Surveying working on a new plan, and that he was going to get it at any time. When I got the new plan, it had a significantly different area shown for mining than what had been shown in the past. So there was a fair amount of research to make sure that we weren't exceeding what the consent was going to allow, make sure we weren't exceeding setbacks and that kind of thing. And then we also had a lot of discussion about the depth. So what you see now for a revised plan, and there's 6 sheets. It's the first set of folded 11 by 17s, 1 of 6, 2 of 6, and so on. The first couple of sheets are pretty much the same as before, with just a different active mining area shown on it, which looks not too interesting. But when you get to the third page, you start getting into the cross sections, and you can see that if you look at the dashed line, that's the existing ground. If you look at the heavy black line, that's what they're saying that they're going to excavate to. Now, keep in mind there's many years of mining it will take to get to that black line. So, quite honestly, this is more like what we would see if this was a new submission. We would see the existing line up here, and this is what I want to do down here. Also keep in mind that this would wipe out the maintenance building and all their stuff that's there now. They'd have to tear it down and move it to get it here. So it's, this isn't going to happen between now and 2 years from now, when or whatever.
This is proposed.
Well, yes, so to speak. And so there was a fair amount of back and forth to get this in a presentable fashion, to get it so that I could understand it, so that there would be, so that others would have the ability to look at it and understand it as well. And so that is what you see in front of you now. I had them add a fair amount of labeling, just so you could, like for example, on sheet 3 of 6, we have the south limit, we have the north limit, we have the existing driveway, we got the setback shown, so it's not just 2 lines on a piece of paper that you have no clue which way you're looking. So that, like I said, that took a little bit of effort to get to that point. So they are, like I said, they are looking ahead, and that was kind of the exercise that John R. was doing, was trying to find out how much more material he had left so he could plan his future. All of which, if you turn to page 1 of 2, which is right just past these 6 sheets we just mentioned, all of which is in line with the approved reclamation plan, which shows, the whole thing pretty much taken out. So that is what,
It's at page 2, right?
or the page, well, it says page 1 of 2,
Okay.
but it's
It's at the back.
it's dated 2003, and it's the reclamation plan for John R. Sandy Gravel. There's a little green box that says approved by Township June 2003. So with that was what we were, that's what we were comparing to. He's pretty well mined out the northeast area. that he had been mining the last, I don't know, 4 to 6 years. There's still some material there, but he's gonna have to start shifting around a little bit. And then as far as, my site visit, there's a ton of pictures. It's a big pit. It takes a minute to get in there and get all these pictures and get out of there. It's a big area to cover. There's lots to look at. And again, pretty consistent with previous years, other than there is a noticeable dent, as they say. When I come back here 2 years, there's you can definitely tell where he's been. Other pits, as I mentioned last month, sometimes I can't always tell what they've even done, so.
So there's a lot of years left in that.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention, one of the things we discussed after the last meeting, I should have mentioned this before, or in between or whatever, but just so you know, there's been some conversations, we'll see where it goes, but there's been some conversations with having your township, Mr. Israel, your township zoning administrator, get a little more involved, and maybe in between every other year that I'm out there, you might go out once a year or whatever, and just look, maybe if nothing else, for signage and fencing. Maybe that can be more of a separate thing that he can do as he has time, and since he's more in the enforcement role than certainly than I am, that makes that kind of makes sense. So.
Yeah, because what we pass here doesn't necessarily get back to them.
You mentioned whether
I don't know, this is pretty detailed.
Yeah, there was a lot of effort went into these
I'm
plans.
impressed, yeah, Kennedy did a good job.
Yeah, like I said, it's a bigger pit, and there's a lot going on,
Yeah,
a lot of history. So, it definitely takes a minute.
yeah.
So that marshal steep banks, you look at like 453.
Yeah.
But they still have a long way to go to get to their.
Yeah, to their destiny, so to speak. So-
Do they have an estimation of how many more years they think?
Well,
Just out
yeah,
of curiosity.
there is, that is something they're supposed to give us, and let me see where that says that. I believe it's on sheet 2 of 6. There's a thing on the right-hand side that says general notes. I believe it's in there. Talks about Hall Road, talks about, it says 20 years, but it's said 20 years since I've been involved.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, that's pretty common.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just curious.
We're gonna all depend on their boring results,
Yep.
how true that plays out. They might hit a hot spot. That isn't what they want.
Well, he's gonna hit water before too long. He much deeper than his deep.
Yeah.
And that's a valid point. So the cross sections that are shown there, those are still above the water, based on what he's got dug out right now. So we kind of looked at, that was another thing that we worked back and forth, but based on the excavation that's out there now, we sort of discussed that if you want to go below that, then you're gonna have to do a lot more work to tell us where the water's at, and what the township can expect once you get water, and so on and so forth. And, right away, he's like, I don't plan on going that deep right now. I said, then let's just,
Yeah,
if that's something you want to do someday, okay, but let's just
So wait
keep
and
it
see.
more realistic for what you want to do right now. So that's,
And that's real close to the site.
yeah, obviously that was my main concern.
And that's,
Right.
yeah, main
That's
flow
why
of
there's
water,
water in
we
it,
don't want
right.
anything happen.
Boy.
Yeah.
With any luck, I'll be long gone and retired.
That's okay, I'll be talking about it.
We all will.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Right.
another 20 years.
20 years goes by quick, though, too.
It does. Yes, it does.
Okay, then good, I guess we're.
This.
So because they submitted,
Special?
because they submitted a revised mining plan,
Yeah.
that you guys should take action on that, and that's, you know,
Recommend to the board.
that stays at your table here,
Yeah.
that's yours to approve or to take action on. And then, of course, the renewal gets recommended to the board.
Right,
Okay.
all right.
Got a motion for the revised,
I'll make a motion to approve the revised soil removal plan prepared by Kennedy Surveying Incorporated dated January 31st, 2025 for the John R. Pit owned and operated by John R. Sand and Gravel.
Second. Okay, roll call.
Roll call on the motion to approve the revised soil removal plan for John R., Dan Miller,
Yes.
Tom Wise,
Yes.
Derderian,
Yes.
Phil Bellinger,
Yes.
Nick Holden,
Yes.
Lance Gould,
Yes.
George Nash.
Yes. Okay,
Then the second one.
yes.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the township board approval of the 2025-2026 biennial soil removal permit application for the John R. Pit, owned and operated by John R. Sand and Gravel, with the recommendation of the following. Recommendations of the following. That fencing and signage shall be installed, completed, and or maintained in 2025 as shown on the 2025 soil removal plan to conform with section 307.1 of the soil removal ordinance, which requires fencing around the site as well as signage every 200 feet maximum. Number two, that a follow-up site visit be completed in 2025 to confirm installation of fencing and signage or obtain photos of such from the owner. Number three, that the method and location of mining be as such to reduce the steepness of the slopes of the excavated banks and to work toward the approved reclamation plan. Restoration of the site, grading topsoil and turf should also be more of a priority as work continues, as well as maintaining fencing and signage. Number four, that the approval shall have the effective date of January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2026, and should be made retroactive to January 1st, 2025.
Okay, motion made. Second?
I'll second.
Yeah, roll call.
Roll call vote, Dan Miller,
Yes.
Tom Wise,
Yes.
Derderian,
Yes.
Phil Bellinger,
Yes.
Nick Holden,
Yes.
Lance Gould,
Yes.
George Nash.
Yes. Y'all seem to be doing a little better job than what they
Used to,
have in the past.
yes. That's what I noticed.
Okay, unfinished business. Well, you got anything? Communications? Committee report. Joe, you got anything you want to aggravate us?
I think you guys are a great asset to this community, of the time and dedication that you all give to this, and keep up the good work.
Okay, we have everything to discuss. We don't have a planner tonight, so
No.
I guess, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Boy, that was,
We're done. Easy peasy.
yeah, but you know what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Because he was in there
Yeah.
quite all.
Actually, it's-
This guy?
Well, the nice thing is, like you're right, so that was Meister, we've done it every year, like they've got.
it's
a lot
gotten better.
So, if, Joe,
Yeah.
I just think out here,
Yeah.